So you're on the West Coast. I'm on the West Coast. How long have you resided out in the Bay Area?
Well, I'm a Louisiana boy myself. I was there for my childhood, but I moved out to the Bay Area when I was a young teenager, and I've been here ever since.
Did your family move out there, or was that the reason why you moved out?
Yeah, my father's job got transferred to San Francisco, and that moved us out.
Awesome. And did you end up going to school out in the Bay Area, for college?
Yeah, I went to Santa Clara University, which is right here in the Silicon Valley. And I jumped right into work immediately after that. I'd actually started working even in high school, writing computer books and articles and so forth. But as far as a full-time job, immediately after college, I joined Apple.
So you joined Apple, and what kind of work did you do during your time at Apple?
Well, funny enough, in the early 80s, very early 80s, actually 1980, when I got my first computer, it was a TRS-80. I'd never had an Apple before, but I spent the first 80 through 87 doing a lot of computer type things. I wrote a bunch of books. I wrote 20 different books about personal computers and how to use them in their applications. And I started some small businesses. I started a little magazine, a retail store, number of things prior to, quote, a real job. But I, of all things, even though I'm not a musician or anything, I was the music marketing manager at Apple when I joined them in 1987. So you
were early on that trade because music wasn't iTunes like it is today.
No, it was more of the MIDI interface and kind of working with real musicians, professionals. Yeah.
So more production quality products and those types of things.
That's right.
So it sounds like you're a pretty smart, precocious kid who has a bug for entrepreneurialism. Where did that come from?
Well, I'm sort of hung up on my own personal freedom. I really like to do what I like to do, and it seems like everyone would have the same feeling. But it's so important to me that I've always been willing to sacrifice salary and opportunity for liberty. And so I've been very much an entrepreneur, even when I was just scraping by. Because I like to, it seems like a truism to sort of follow your bliss, as it were. But I've got that really bad, so that's really where it comes from.
And I'm always curious, with the entrepreneurs, do you like the early startup phases, or do you like growing it into something bigger before getting out? Where do you fall? Because I think
I'm the early.
Different people.
Yeah, I'm the early startup guy because, for one thing, I am many things, but I'm not a manager. I don't think I could ever. I mean, some people are just born for that kind of thing, and I don't like to manage. So a company of about 15 to 20 people is just about as big as I like to be in. And very small companies, especially in this area, can make a lot of amazing things happen. So right. I'm an early guy.
And so, what was the first success that you recall having as a business person, as an entrepreneur?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, as a teenager, even though it wasn't a business per se, having published books was kind of a success for me because it allowed me to buy a nice car and pay my way through college and kind of pay my own living expenses. So I got a lot of independence, even right from 18 years old. I was living on my own, paying all my own way.
What is it about writing that you still do every day that is cathartic? Is it cathartic for you? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah. I do enjoy it. I guess I would say I just notice things. Maybe in a different life I could be a comedian or something like that if I had the chops for it. But I just notice things, and things strike me as funny or peculiar or ironic, and I like to share those feelings. And so the books that I wrote certainly weren't anything prosaic. It was just about, how to use Word on the Mac or how to program graphics and sounds on the Commodore 64, things like that, hardly great American novels. But the blog has allowed me to not only talk about my passion for trading, but also anything else that happens across my mind.
Right.
So
let's switch over to trading. When did you first start getting interested in markets? You're a writer, you're a computer scientist. Mm-hmm. But is that what you studied in college, by the way?
Not at all. In fact, the one C I got in college was from my computer class. The fact that I didn't attend a single session might have had. So we can loop back to the question. Yeah.
You were talking about your only C in college was in a computer science class.
Well, actually, Santa Clara University isn't that well known, but it was actually California's first college back in like 78 or something. But it's a Jesuit college, and therefore their focus tends to be on philosophy and religion, which actually is where I really thrived. My degree was in marketing, which I kind of regret. I personally am of the philosophy now that college should be used to learn how to think and not to learn anything vocational. Yeah. So I consider that sort of an error. In my teen years and college years, I was a writer. I was a computer guy. And in college, I sort of discovered trading.
Did you take a lot of philosophy classes? A lot of thought classes?
Yeah, I did. I really liked philosophy, history, religion, all the, as they say, fuzzy topics.
Esoterics, yeah. And yeah. What, without getting personal, what kind of philosophers do you favor?
Well, someone would assume people like Schopenhauer. I would think for someone bearish as me, but I don't have any particular favorites. I like to think about ethics, and it all blends into like kind of politics and sociology and religion. It's all basically like, what are our lives made of and what should be important in our lives. So I like to think, and philosophy is all about thinking.
So how did you start carrying over that thinking into your perception of markets?
Mm-hmm.
You said in college you started looking at markets. I'm assuming mid 90s, somewhere in there.
I'm a little older than that. I was in college in the late 80s, actually mid to late 80s.
Right.
And
you I've related the same age. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I've related a story that when I was a boy growing up in Louisiana, I would get kind of enthralled by the it rains there a lot, and so I would watch the raindrops flying by on the side windshield and bobbing up and down. I was sort of mesmerized by their motion. And you may see behind me, I've got a bunch of very old maps, these like 400-year-old maps around me. Okay. I'm sort of a cartophile, if there's such a thing. So maps have also had an interest for me. So there's this weird fixation on the visual.
The visual.
And I guess I've always been drawn to charts in that respect.